Live streaming is on.
Oh, shit. All right, we're live. Sorry about that. Forgot I was Bluetooth into my surround sound. And apparently I'm having audio issues again. Oh, all right, never mind. Guess I'm not having audio issues. Forgot about the delay. I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. You guys had a good week. You guys all had to have a better week than I did. Trust me. As you guys all know, I've been sick, and well, I didn't end up not going into work Monday, and Tuesday I ended up going back to the walk-in clinic, and let's just put it this way: I got sent to the ER, which turned out to be the biggest joke of them all, because I mean, the nurse that seen me at the walk-in clinic, she she made before I even went to the ER, she's like, if you got to go to work, you definitely want to call your work, and if you have an HR, call them, let them know that you're probably going likely is going to be admitted. But yeah, my blood pressure and my heart rate was through the roof, to the point where they were for sure I was going to get admitted at the ER. Come to find out, Bryan Medical Group Hospital is a joke. And I mean joke. I thought Montpelier's Band-Aid Station Hospital was a Band-Aid station. I'd have done better going to Montpelier's Band-Aid Station. Honestly. They sent me over with an EKG. I've had an EKG 3 times this within a week. Less than a week, I've had an EKG taken. But on Tuesday it was abnormal, so they told me to go over there. So I did, and woohoo! If my blood pressure wasn't high, it was definitely high and through the roof when I got left and went back to the walk-in clinic. They said they sent me over a copy of the EKG, so I go over there, explain what's going on, and that the clinic sent me over. Told this all to the nurse that was in the ER. And this doctor comes in. I think he's from India by his accent. Asked what was going on. I told him I was, numbness in the hands, tingling, real tight muscles, that the EKG came back in normal, high blood pressure, high heart rate. Then, of course, little did I know at this time, both had actually went up by 10. I mean, I went because when I went back to the walk-in clinic, they're like, "Oh no, I can't believe they sent you back. I can't believe they didn't admit you." They're like, "You know what? If you get any worse or feel any worse, call 911. We should have sent you over to the Defiance ER. But we're gonna get you a doctor since you don't have one, so you can use this as your family doctor." And they got me right in for the next day, which was Thursday. Which EKG again, blood work. Yeah, I've been a human pincushion. But anyway, the ER doctor, he doesn't even look at the EKG. Actually, I don't even know if he looked at the monitor for the blood pressure. But he's like, he did some tests, basically, feeling test. Can you feel this? Squeeze my hand as hard as you can. Well, you don't have carpal tunnel, but you got a nasal infection. I'm like, oh, no shit. I was diagnosed with a nasal infection the following, last Wednesday. Last week. Along with sore throat, respiratory infection. And then these symptoms all started Saturday. So I thought it maybe because of the steroid I was on. But he's like, well, I'm going to prescribe you a nasal spray. Take it 2 times a day for 2 weeks, and you're good to go. I'm like, well, they were supposed to give me a doctor's note for yesterday and today. He's like, oh, you're good to go back to work. At the walk-in clinic, my blood pressure was 148. It went up to 158. My pulse was 128, and it went up to 138. So, yeah, it was a fun week. And even the doctor, when I seen her Thursday, she couldn't believe that they didn't admit me. In fact, she filed some paperwork and was trying to open an investigation on the ER doctor and the medical group, the Bryan Medical Hospital, because, my EKG Thursday came out okay. She ran a bunch of tests, lab work, nurse practitioner, so I was happy. That's what I prefer. I'm still not 100%. I managed to make it to work Thursday and Friday night. But like I said, I'm definitely not 100%. I'm still dealing with a few things. And all my lab work, blood work came back great. Honestly, they're like, well, I can see why you never go to the doctor. You're basically perfect health. Other than, we confirmed that I did have, which I already knew I had COVID back in December 2019. A bunch of us where I work did. But, so that's the reason I've been catching the respiratory infections and stuff. Back on albuterol, breathing treatment. She put me on a low dose blood pressure pill, see if that helps. Hopefully it does. That'll save me having to go through a cardiologist. So, just rolling with the punches. But, it is sad, the state of our medical institutes. Honestly. I mean, that was set to the ER. That's at least a $500 to $800 bill, if not more. Just for the short little time I was in there just to get diagnosed. Oh, you have a nasal problem. When I should have been admitted, but, hey, all they care about is their money. They don't care about treating people. That's another part of the psychological warfare. Like I said, Operation Mindcrime is the title of this. And it is a crime that they control the information to a point that, honestly, trying to sue a doctor or a medical group is just as, well, not as hard as suing a pharmaceutical company for a defective pharmaceutical. But it's still just as much of a pain in the ass. The fact that I very seldom go to doctors. The fact I'm used to only getting sick once every 5 years or so. Just like, oh, they pushed you. Well, we all know. We lived through the COVID, the pandemic, they called it. You need to get your shot. You need to get your jab. You need to get another one. Oh, now you need a booster. Well, let's look at all the people who got that. Look at all of our senators that said they got it. Our president said they got it. Honestly, as far as to my knowledge, since December of 2019, I have not had COVID since. Yes, I've had the side effects from respiratory infections, but every time I went to the doctors to be tested, it's always been negative. But they didn't want you to talk about immunization, herd immunity immunizations. They wanted you to go and get their shots. They wanted you to go so they could make their money because they're shareholders in these pharmaceutical companies. Let's look at the psychological warfare, the propaganda, the spiritual warfare that went on during COVID. Let's talk about Operation Mindcrimes, because it was a mind crime. They instilled fear. They got to the point to where they shut down people's places of worship, their churches, their temples, whatever you call your places of worship, your synagogues. They made them shut the door. They made everyone turn away from who they believe their God is. That's how powerful the psychological warfare was, and spiritual warfare was during the pandemic. They tricked and deceived everybody through fear. Why do I call it an Operation Mindcrime? Because the operation is information. The control of information, the control what people control what you can say. For those of us that spoke out about it, we were punished. Well, many were punished. I slid through. But we all know I don't care about numbers. I'm about quality over quantity. So I have a low subscriber count on YouTube. I've got higher subscriber counts on Minds, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, GitHub, Parler when I was there. My own, sadly, I haven't done anything to it. My own website generates more hits and views than happens here on YouTube. I'm all over. I'm in every niche and cranny, and I post my videos there. Hell, I got more views on Internet Archive on my videos than I do here on YouTube. But they want to make you think that this is the only spot. It's a psychological warfare game. They got tricked everybody back in Facebook or Coot, the beginnings of things, that you had to have all these likes. You had to have all these friends. You have to have all these numbers, to where we've forgotten about quality. The quality of the people we let in our lives, the quality of people will receive and share information, trade stories. They slowly took control of those aspects in our life, which we should have full control over. We got caught up in the high school, middle school, high school games of the popularity contest. Whose dick's bigger measuring contest, It shouldn't matter. I love it because I can interact with my audience. I watch these big channels. They got to have tons of admin, and their chats scroll by so fast that they don't really get to interact with their audience. They might catch something out of the corner of their eye, but then they have to spend time scrolling back to find it, which distracts you from the thing. I can easily interact with the few people I have, and I love it. Yeah, it takes me a minute before I go live because I got to post everything everywhere. But then I get to reap the benefits. I get to interact in all these different niches I'm on in these platforms. different audience. It's just not my audience here. I get to hear their feedback, their comments. That's what they don't want. That's why they're so keen on trying to control information. They don't want you talking about the vaccines. They don't want you talking about the mask. They don't want you talking about other their party's politicians if you're calling them out on things. It's all about information, controlling that information. If you speak out about it, they're going to label you. They're going to label you as a conspiracy theorist, as a supremacist, as a domestic terrorist, and all the other colorful labels. But we help with that. We truly do. Before I ramble on much farther, at the top of the hour, guys, the stream will shut down. I'm pretty sure it's a YouTube thing. It's not mine's thing. I live stream from the Gathering, my group, Sons and Daughters of Liberty on the Mines, which has an app called The Gathering, which allows me to live stream from there. And it also allows me to bring people in. If anybody wants to join me, shoot a message in my chat or direct message me on whatever platform you're hearing this from. I will definitely get the notification on my phone. And you're more than welcome to join me, because we need to be talking about these things. We need to talk about how they use psychological warfare and spiritual warfare to control you. We need to understand. Before I go, let me finish what I started. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get through these. I'm trying to keep these within an hour and a half to 2 hour lengths. But like I said, at the top of the hour, the stream will go down. You'll get a little whirly thing. Don't go nowhere. I will reset it, and we will be right back live. Perfect time. I'll give you like 5 minutes. I'll be back before 5, but give you guys a little 5-minute break if you want to take it. I won't talk about anything too important. And then we'll get right back into it. But you don't have to leave the channel. It'll just come right back on. All right. But we also got to realize that we are their biggest weapon. They've tricked us and deceived us enough to where we are our own worst enemies. Because we'll share these things, not maybe realizing it's misinformation or not realizing the image is a sigil designed to trigger certain things that we don't see because it's subliminally triggered. So we share these things. We share this information. We're even guilty of the label game. We label ourselves red pill generation, red pill, blue pill, off the Matrix, which goes farther back than that. It goes actually clear back to the Garden of Eden, eating the red apple or the fruit of forbidden knowledge. But they use these labels to further, granted, the most important part is to divide us and subdivide us and subjugate us from each groups. I mean, we can use the most recent thing, the alt-right. Look how that got splintered into all the various different alt-right groups. Labels are dangerous, especially if you don't understand how to use them. And that their only use is for that moment in time, then they no longer have meaning. That's why we can still offend people with the N-word. Labels should never have meaning other than the time that they're meant to have it and the use for its use. It is a tool. But we use it like it's nothing. Oh, I'm red pill. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm red, blue. You see how we're dividing ourselves? No, we're a human being. We're all brothers and sisters. We're not some label. But then again, you could argue, well, you're saying we're all brothers and sisters. That's the label. Okay, how am I using that label? I'm using that label as a form of unity, not division. Where if I say I'm only voting red, I am dividing myself from maybe those potential candidates who, by action, have stood up for the Constitution that just might happen to be a Democrat, who stood up for our Constitution, stood up for our rights. It's just the party they chose to run on. It doesn't reflect their actions. But you'd argue, well, they should be Republican then. It shouldn't matter what party they are. That's the problem. We've got caught in that Operation Mindcrime of dividing ourselves based on two colors, which is nothing but racism. We're distinguishing ourselves, saying we're better because we're this color over that color, when it shouldn't have no meaning to being that way. Who cares what party you are? It's your actions, not your words, your actions that tell me if you should get my vote. Or if I should tell people that, hey, you need to check this person out. See, they don't want us to have a voice. They don't want us to be sharing information unless it's the information they feed us. And they do. They play the game. They play it like a well-fined fiddle or a well-fined violin. They know how to put and play both sides to pit each other against each other with the information, giving you a little bit of truth, but the rest is bullshit. Because our minds, not our subconscious, our conscious minds will only see the truth. And once we register the truth, we'll accept it that the whole thing's true. We won't question it. And we'll share that with a bunch of people. But the real meat and potatoes is the stuff that ain't the truth. That's not the white lie. The stuff that is the white lie. The lie part. And these are just simple tools that they use to manipulate us, to control us. But we're guilty because we share the information. We don't take time to research it. We don't question it. And a lot of times, guys, we don't realize how big of a reach of audience we really have. Why? Because the analytics on all these platforms lie. They give another white lie. They give you half truths. Got plenty of videos breaking it down and showing you the proof. How bad YouTube is for it. I'm getting all these views and reactions, impressions, and all these different platforms. But it doesn't reflect the analytics here on YouTube. And it should, because it's the very same link to this video right now that I've shared everywhere that you guys are reaching me from. It's not my archive from Internet Archive. Because I have no need for that right now, other than a backup site in case I ever get taken down, to where I can go replace all my links with the Internet Archive link. And guess what? I don't have all my videos are back up. Always good. And that's not the only dump site I have for backup. Every video, which is getting close to the 300 mark now, I've done is backed up. Either backed up on a portable hard drive on my computer, backed up on Internet Archive, because we live in a world where we have to have redundancies. We have to have a backup to our backups to our backups. Especially when you start talking topics I talk about and other people talk about. What sets me apart from everybody else is I didn't buy into the game of running. I believe in taking a stand. I don't know how people got into this habit. Well, some of it's greed. I know that for a fact. A lot of it has to do with greed. I can make more money over here if I go here. Screw you two. I'm tired of it. Because, that was a propaganda. That was a psychological warfare. They tricked everybody, started letting people make all kinds of money with no issues, no censorship, no strikes, no control. Slowly started changing the TOS. And anytime somebody spoke about something that was against the status quo, and they were a huge channel, they got a community guideline strike. No warning. They got their stuff demonetized. So they get frustrated. So now they start censoring themselves on what they say and can't say. Then along comes another platform. Miraculously, right? They all run over there. Because they get the same promises. Well, once that platform gets built up and they're just making their money, guess what? The same thing that happened on YouTube is now happening over at DLive. The same thing that Gab said they'd never do happened on Gab. Why? Well, because they got threatened to lose their platform, their hosting provider. But most people don't even understand the whole back end and legality of legal laws, international laws you got to follow when you create your own servers and host your own stuff. It is a quagmire of BS that basically there's never going to be such a thing as a free speech platform. Because you have to abide by the laws. But they'll make you think, they'll give you the speech and the spill to make you think that they are. Gab done it. They've removed people. They got blatantly got caught. They've censored. Every platform does. They have to. Or else they wouldn't be in existence. But the problem is, when we run, all we're doing is surrendering and say, you win, you keep doing it. Because now we no longer have the numbers to take a stand. One person taking a stand does not do nothing. But at the same time, the way the rules and laws are written, the company is protected. For the most part, there's ways around it. Look, I talk about all these things. Why? Because it's information. It's needed. It's a must-have. I give anybody out there that streams and does these things, regardless what site or label you want to call yourself, props, because it's not easy. Look at Louder or Crowder, suspended. Again, of course, we all knew it was going to be short-lived. He made it 2 weeks. But now we got to add in things like swatting. All right, Bree. Now we're starting to see people get swatted more to have big podcasts. Tim Pool, 9 times this year? One of his guests. And this is the real messed up part. Marjorie Taylor Greene swatted twice this week. And that is a real federal offense, because now you're threatening and trying to intimidate a representative of Congress or Senate. That's a huge federal crime. But who cares? She's right-wing, right? There's that label again. She's ruffled both sides of the fence. And has, by making them come in and actually vote on bills and legislation like they're supposed to. Not the majority controls it. And only 5 people from each party might be in attendance. Okay, The A's have it, since we're the majority ruling party of this term. She makes them call everybody in and actually reads the stuff. So yeah, she's public enemy number one on both sides. But everybody's caught up on the side red or blue. I'm only going to vote red. No, vote based on actions, not words, not what they're going to say to you. Look how far white lies have gotten us. We spread misinformation half the time and don't even realize it, because we see the truth and we don't register the lies. So we share it, or we talk about it. Look at where we're at right now. How many times did the CDC change their stance on COVID-19, on masks, on vaccines? How many of your pastors, preachers, priestess, priests have openly apologized to the congregation for shutting their doors? Because I tell you what, the shutdown would have never happened. The lockdowns would have never happened if the churches did their job in the first place and stood up. Guaranteed win, but they didn't. And I know people take offense when I bring that up. Good, you should. In fact, you should get on your knees and pray for forgiveness right now. Because you allowed it to happen. Because you were in fear, but your fear wasn't where it was supposed to be. There's only one thing I fear, and that's my Creator. You guys got to understand that we are truly in a situation where to think now is a crime. And it's always been that way. I can go back through history. In fact, I can go back to history where the original words heathen, heretic, and pagan were originally created and used, and that was by the Catholic Church. They all three words, their root origin word means free thinkers or common folk. Those who free think and would question the church, the Catholic Church. Look at the Crusades. We can go to every time period in our history, and psychological warfare and spiritual warfare were the number one weapons used against the people. History is a beautiful thing, but also know there's many sides to history. There are those who conquered, they write the history. There's the history of the conquered, some in journals and passed down from family generation to generation. I mean, I'm blessed, descendant of John Rutledge, signer of the Constitution, member of the first Congressional Stamp Act, second Congressional Stamp Act, and helped write the laws, took a stance against the treaty for Britain, took a stance during the Revolutionary War when he was ordered to abandon a fort that they knew the British cannons couldn't take. And he defied that order. We're not abandoning it. They cannot take this fort. We need people like that today. We need people like that as our representatives in Congress, in our state levels, on our school boards. We don't need the DOJ to say parents that stand up to school boards are domestic terrorists. Talk about the ultimate psychological warfare. Instilling fear because you're taking a stance to protect your children and protect the education that they're supposed to be getting, not the education that our government's trying to teach to strip them of their identity, of their humanity, of their spirituality. Our children are supposed to be our future. Our children are supposed to they reach a certain age, the innocents. They should be protected at all costs. The highest crimes that anyone could ever commit would be against our children, the innocent. But no, we let sex offenders roam free. We send them to jail and they're out within 6 to 9 months. Bree was telling me of a case where a registered sex offender just got out of prison, bought a gun legally. But it's okay. They protect the pedophiles. Look at all the laws that California enacted to protect pedophilia, lowering the age of consent. Now we've gotten to the point where transgenderism needs to be taught to our young children. There ain't a single day, a moment in time where that's okay. Sexual education of our children belongs with the parents. The parents should have final say if they can take part in sex ed in school. I mean, that's how it was in my day. I'm old, but I ain't that old. My parents had to sign off on that. Now parents don't even get the choice. Now, our next generation is going to grow up thinking everything that they've witnessed and been taught in school is appropriate for their children to be taught. Operation Mindcrime, right? They're committing crimes against our youth, against our children, the innocents. Because at that early age and development, they're most susceptible to psychological warfare and spiritual warfare. They don't know. They're still learning the difference of rights and wrongs, the differences of what's okay and what's not okay. And sexuality shouldn't even be a part of that because they haven't even hit puberty yet. Now, for us to win on any level against these games they're playing, it starts right at the home. I've said this on almost any podcast, on any subject I talk about. We got to get control back. We got to start to take control. We got to make change. But that change doesn't start anywhere but inside the home. First with yourself, then with your family, then within the community. And change ain't going to happen overnight. But I tell you what, the way they keep pushing people, oh yeah. It only takes a few communities to start doing this, start growing, and it will spread like wildfire. Because I tell you what, this information game they want to play, the psychological warfare, we can do the same damn thing and we do it every day and don't even realize it. What's different between now and my founding fathers' generations is the internet and technology. Instead of taking 3 to 6 months to reach people across over in Britain or France or in 3 states over, it's instantaneous with maybe a few seconds delay as you're watching this video and experiencing now. And you guys don't even realize it. I do because I monitor my chat and I also occasionally check to make sure my mic's working. But that's it. Information is so fast now. It's lightning speeds. We can reach anybody in the world and do. So our information highways have become the most targeted and used for psychological warfare, propaganda, and spiritual warfare. No different than Thomas Jefferson using the printing press. Except for now it's at lightning speeds. Now I don't have to spend 20 minutes to an hour, or longer, typing a blog up. I can just come and do a live stream. Which is even more dangerous, as we'll discover later in the series. Because your voice, knowing how to use your voice to use your vocal vibrations, frequencies, You can manipulate things, influence things, people. I mean, there's history of the Tibetan monks using musical instruments to levitate rocks. It's actually been thoroughly documented here of late. Been an interesting study in it. But we also can see how sound can move and make water flow backwards. You are a weapon in yourself just by your voice, your words. That's why labels are so dangerous. I don't care what the label is. I mean, how many crusades were fought under labels of religion? How many witch hunts were forced and enacted upon because of a label? A label that was used to intentionally to go after not the real witches, as history has shown, but those that actually opposed the church, the crown, the free thinkers, the scientists, because they were committing thought crimes. They were thinking, questioning, speaking, writing essays, powerful essays, game-changing essays, and questionable theories that later came out to be groundbreaking. But it took control from the governments. It took control from the kings and queens, from the temples and churches. Because now people are questioning. You can't do that. Like I said, psychological warfare and spiritual warfare dates back to the beginning. It's just got so refined. Now we're bombarded with every time you go to Twitter and scroll, every time you go to Facebook, scroll down, you are bombarded with it. And, it's bad enough we'll sit here and listen to podcasts and listen to the news. Nobody questions or realizes or admits how one-sided Fox is. No, it's CNN that's one-sided and evil. It's MSNBC. No, Fox is just as guilty. They are Republican-based. They are red-based. They support the Republican Party. And their information is one-sided to reflect that narrative. They don't give you the whole. Because, well, it wouldn't be right, would it? It has to be right or left. It can't be both. Hello, Bree.
Hey, you said something there about labels, and I just wanted to hop in. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Free Spirit, aka Bree. You were talking about labels and whatnot, and going back and kind of rehashing about what you were talking about on labels. And earlier in the podcast, if the class was listening, labels. Medical labels, political labels, church affiliation, what diocese you're in.
They're all labels.
As we're seeing just how divisive it is. Music labels. Look at just how, not just how divisive, but the symbology of the labels in all of the dark
And you used the correct word, symbology.
well it actually
a label is a symbol.
Well, it actually goes very deep. And you spoke about this in the first ideation of this series with the memes. Just how it's even deeper than the symbology of the memes, but the religious implications of all these labels and the sigil of all of these labels of just how divisive all of this has become. It is very, very dangerous. And it's happening you know, and really I guess maybe one of the reasons why I decided to jump in while I'm trying to take care of my fur balls before I have to actually go to work. Work on a Saturday evening. But it is what it is. You know, the sigils of these labels, it has become so mainstream that most people, they don't even, they've fallen right into it so blindly. And, you know, it doesn't, people buy into even what make of car you buy, what kind of phone you use,
Right.
what social media site you prefer, what's your streaming software of choice. You know, all
I
these
mean, it's
signilistic,
programming,
right? It is. It absolutely is. And you know, I was
programming
at a,
indoctrination. That's what psychological warfare is
you know, it's funny. I was
when
at
used
a,
as a weapon.
you know, um, we were wrapping up at the show last night, and one of our maybe one of our most dedicated fans said something last night that I actually thought was rather strange, but uh you know, not really. They were he said something that was said on TV, and I was like, well, I don't have TV, and I really don't try to stay out of most of the garbage that is going on out there as much as I can. Because quite frankly, it'll drive you completely around the bend. But um, you know, even the news source that you get it is deeply rooted in sigilism,
It is.
and people don't seem to catch it.
Well, the best way to explain this is how it was actually explained to me by a or temple master of the OTO. The best sigil magic in this world that everybody recognizes that is a legit sigil. McDonald's, the
Yep.
That is sigil magic at its perfection, because everybody sees that the golden arches of the M, and everybody relates it and knows it worldwide as McDonald's. That's how dangerous images are, or sigils, or symbols are, when used by the wrong people. But that's the best example of a sigil you can give at its simplicity. And if you actually break it down to its sigil form, oh my God, it's scary.
Well, I could even actually
Because it's actually a knock-in.
well, and you know, not to you know, we're talking about mind crimes and whatnot, but you know, there's actually a very perverse um aspect of that very symbol, and it's come under very serious scrutiny, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that. But McDonald's actually isn't the only um, company that is facing some some scrutiny about their company logo
Well,
as of late.
yeah, but it goes deeper than that. Here's what most people don't understand. When McDonald's was founded and created, they made literally here's their profit off of whatever burger when they first came out, which probably I guess was still a Big Mac, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not that old. They made a penny off every sale of any item. That was their promise. And look where McDonald's is today. Probably the oldest franchise now in history.
It is.
They started out by only making a penny on their sales for each item they sold.
Yep.
That was their selling pitch. That's how they grew. They used sigil magic to draw people in. They gave them something so simple that they seen it, they'd stop. But go ahead, continue your thought.
You know, there is so many parts of a lot of these places that they're not seeing just how simplistic, but how dark this shit actually is, and how um uh sinisterly evil it actually is, when you really think about it. I'm not going to spell it out because this video automatically gets struck. I cannot, and I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let y'all
No, but I will. So
um
go ahead and go there.
you know, if you actually look at the emblem of the Golden Arch, think about the shape of uh, somebody's backside, and then take it back several years, because we were just talking a little bit ago about the innocence of youth.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the shape of the Golden Arches. Even though there's a peak there, um, you know, take a look at it with a little bit more refined eye. You know, there's some sinisterism there that I don't think a lot of people have really looked into, and now it is, and it's began first. There's another chain that is not exactly a new kid on the block either in the fast food industry, and this is first starting that I've heard in Canada, and it just came out earlier this week that it was reported to me. Wendy's has also changed their logo too. I don't know if you've caught it yet, but Wendy's has actually rebranded their logo.
It doesn't surprise me.
So, you know, you want to talk about sigilism and uh, just how dark this stuff actually is getting. You know, a lot of pretty much everybody that is in my non primary job uh, circle is musically inclined, and most of the people that watch this channel also pay attention to news and whatnot. You
But
want to talk
people
about
actually watch this channel?
yeah, they do. You know, you want to
Not
talk about,
according to YouTube.
well, that's right, but
I mean,
you
let's
want,
talk about psychological warfare.
right, but you want to talk about some deep dark sigil shit. um Go look at anywhere in the music and entertainment industry, um and just how sick and dark and twisted that shit actually is. And if that doesn't upset you and make you want to stop going to the movie theaters and really begin to,
I'll give you another one. Since we're dealing with technology, talk about technology. Let's go back to the beginning. War of the Worlds. The very first time it came on the what?
the radio.
Most people didn't have color TV, or they didn't have color TVs back then. The first time War of the Worlds played, it was on the radio. And look at the panic and fear it caused. Historically documented. That's psychological warfare. That's propaganda. That's spiritual warfare. That's programming. That's was it before World War II, wasn't it?
um 17, I could tell you because they actually went back here just a few weeks ago, and they were actually revisiting that, and that there's over 17,000 calls in an hour.
So imagine that, guys. That was with over the radio. The fear it induced. Imagine something like that, which has happened. We can use COVID. It happened with COVID. The fear and pandemic, or not pandemic, what's the word I'm looking for? Paranoia that can be caused with just a fraction of information in the wrong hands spread to meant to induce a panic and fear. Look at how much control they were able to gain because people were in fear. I mean, I actually remember the night I went into work, and the parking lot was almost empty. And we went in and found out, well, we're being shut down because of COVID, which for me only lasted 3 days, and I was brought back because we made fasteners, so therefore we were considered a necessary to work. But I remember signing a paper, getting handed a travel permit, and remember getting home, tweeted about, or I just Facebooked about it. Kaiser hit me up, and we did a podcast that very night. And the very things we questioned and talked about came out to be, and that was before any real information was get really out there, because it was just shit we've experienced, shit he experienced for being, contractor and being in the military before that, and working with, federal, one of the agencies, and the stuff we openly talked about, questioned. We called it for what it was, a weapon, and it was. Now, anybody say, oh, no, it was, because it got used as a weapon on a psychological level. They used it to induce fear and control over people, to make churches shut their doors. That was the people we elected. Trump was guilty for this as well, because he didn't know. He acted by listening to his advisors, listening to the people in Congress, and the buck don't just stop at Congress. It fought anybody that had a hand in it. They're guilty. I love Trump, but I will never sit there and allow how much I love that man. When he says something wrong, I'm going to call him out, because that's what we're supposed to do. But yet we're programmed and taught and put in fear not to question anybody. Anybody that questioned Trump anytime he said something wrong, well, I thought he was part of this community. That community would bash them. Oh, you're wrong. You're evil. You're anti-Trump. You're left. You're blue. You're a blue pill person. No. Our due diligence is when somebody speaks out that is wrong, that is unconstitutional. It is our job to point it out. It doesn't matter what label you think I am, because you're the ones that enslaved to the label, not me. I'm the one that's going to make sure our constitutional rights and freedoms are protected. And most of the time, Trump would walk back what he said and find a good solution. But if people didn't call it out, he would have never took it back, because he wouldn't have known. It is our due diligence. Not listening to our politicians, because our politicians get it wrong 98% of the time, because they're only worried about their one thing, their own greed and money in their pockets. But we are getting close to that hour mark, so here,
yeah,
about 2 minutes.
I have to bounce out here. I have to start getting ready to fly here. I got to be at the venue and at 3:30. But
well, you guys can't see. I can't share screens for some odd reason still. And nobody's figured that one out yet. But I had like 3 or 4 viewers. And as soon as I, even said Trump was wrong on something, bam, gone. That's how programmed people are. Because they don't want to hear it. Because they're taught, no. When you make somebody question something that is wrong, that they don't realize it, yeah, they get triggered. Information does trigger people. That's why, the whole importance of accusing people of being influencers or people that trigger people. Getting them alert. Oh, if I trigger this person, they're going to report me, and I'm going to get suspended, or I'm going to get put on Facebook timeout or whatnot. No, we should be triggering people. If you trigger somebody, that means you're making them question something. Trigger is not a bad word. It's a needed word. And for the next, if anybody wants to, like I said, anybody wants to call in, jump in like Bree did, shoot me a DM. I'll give you either a phone number, or I'll give you the link. You can just actually join me here on the live stream. Or you can call in on the live stream. Up to you. Just send me a DM. Or message me, or let me know in chat.
All right, y'all take care. I got to bounce. I got to get ready to go to work. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Stay blessed. Learn to know the signs, y'all. We'll catch you on the next one. Free Spirit, we're flying.
It's like I said, we're waiting for the stream to temporarily shut off. It is information. It's what it's about. And how fast we spread that information. How we use that information to empower people, to educate people. And the thing we need to educate people is to question things. Question everything. Take nothing at face value. Take nobody at their word. Don't take me at my word. Go research it. Go do your own research. Do your own study of history. And we're back, I guess. I don't know. The delay is kind of weird today. I'm like, I've got a longer delay than normal. Because normally, as soon as it says live streaming is stopped on my headset, the wheel instantly pops up on YouTube. It's not doing that today. And I've noticed certain other things. But then again, yeah, I am talking about things they don't want me to talk about. So, and I probably should ditch my description of it. But I'm not going to. So I know I'm hitting algorithms and meta tags and metadata. So, and I know the AI is monitoring. So, yeah, I don't care. No, and that's the irony of things. I just don't care anymore because it's things have gone too far. In the world that we're living in today, everything's gone too far. We have allowed things to get out of hand. And yes, we all got to take the blame. There's no such thing as a righteous path. We've all allowed these things to happen. Some of us spoke out, but we haven't reached enough people. We haven't had more conversations. We haven't took it to places where it needs to be taken. We can do more. We can always do more. And we need to do more. Nobody innocent in this matter. But people are starting to have enough. People are starting to take stances, and that's good. Because it's about the information. The information is the weapon. They want to control the information. And a lot of times they want to control it to where it's hidden from you so you don't notice it or see it. Like when it comes to our children's education. I discussed this in depth in the last couple of videos I've done. Part 1, I got into it a little bit. I think Coffee and Chat. The last Coffee and Chat I did, I really got into it. And the Ramblings of the Chaotic Mind, which might have been a bit too long for you guys out there to watch. I think that went like 4 hours, 5 hours, somewhere around there. I would edit this stuff and break them down, but I can't stand listening to my own voice. I don't know how you guys do it, but hey, glad you do. And I just like my stuff raw, live, and uncut. I am trying to behave and not drop the F-bomb. I think I've survived so far this time. Trying to keep swearing at the minimum because, like I said, it's important information, and I don't want to trigger people because of colorful language. Even though that colorful language at times is needed. Like I said, it's knowing how to use your labels. Knowing when the time and purpose is. Because we've used so many labels to call ourselves that we strip the real meanings of those labels away. That's the dangers another danger of using labels. You strip their meanings away. I mean, Brewery brought up some good points, and I'm trying to save that bit for another video, which I don't know how I'm going to do it and keep it under 2 hours because it's almost impossible. When we start getting into sigils, symbols, it's everywhere. I'm trying to break it down and explain it in the simplest terms is hard because it is magic. It's chaos magic. And some of it's very dark magic. But then again, magic is not dark or light. It is the intent. Psychological warfare, spiritual warfare. Teaching people that this is evil. Then you take that and label it. Use that one little label to define everybody. And when you talk about the pagan community, I use the word pagan because it is a diverse mix of people. Different belief systems, different structures. 98% of them are no different than you or me. No different than most Christians out there. They're loving, caring, will give their arm and a leg to help somebody. But you do have that small percentage. I mean, actually, it's probably not a small percentage. You can fit almost all of our governments, world governments, into that evil category. Because they're using those tools to manipulate, influence, and control people. And that's not what the whole understanding of magic was. The spirituality of it. A spirituality of any religion is supposed to free you, remove the changes that bind you. To promote spiritual growth and well-being. Health. Love. But the pagan community knows this. I've been staunch on that one and caught the backlash from it multiple times. They're guilty of their own demise by taking their vows of secrecy and not being open. So, like I said, everybody's guilty of something. And yeah, I've caught backlash from some of the top people within many of the organizations in the pagan community. They know my stance. Screw you. I don't care. You're part of the reason to blame. You hide behind your secrets. You don't bring the information. You don't educate people about what you do, what your spirituality is, and it goes for all religions. We get caught up. Oh, we're Christians. We don't do that. That don't happen. But it does. It happens in every group. And when we vocalize that and admit that and are open about that, then people can't use that as a weapon against us to divide us. I mean, it's information. Now, that's the beauty of today's age. All that information is out there. You can research it and find it yourself. Yes, careful what you look, because there's plenty of it that's been rigged to draw you in to keep you believing in what you've been taught. Sometimes, in my personal opinion, the best is finding people that might be better into that and having an open discussion. Judge them by their actions, not their words. But listen to them. Hear them out. Save judgment for another day. Because that's the other weapon they used against us. They made us so judgmental. You know, I can go on and on that subject because I've been there. I've experienced it. I've witnessed it in many forms and many different organizations and religious organizations. And it was, in a sense, it was saddening to see that it was any denomination. It was pretty much, once it came time for the pulpit and the sermon, you'd find it exactly why I left the other one. back then, I was still young. I didn't realize that it was actually being used as a weapon, a control mechanism to keep people divided, to control other people. Let's convert them over because they're wrong. Honestly, we'll never know. That's one debate, this pointless argument, because we'll never know to the day we die. So why do we argue about it? Why do we let it influence who we become friends with, who we interact with? I mean, oh my God, the hate of speeches, the fire and brimstone preached about homosexuals. Man, I've got a lot of friends that are homosexuals, and they're close friends. They respect my views and values and beliefs. They don't come at me that way, and I respect them for who they and what they want to be. It's about respect. It's about understanding. Okay, what he does in his or her bedroom's none of my damn business. But well, they're doing it out public, so it's none of our damn business. They're happy. Be happy for them. But that's gotten twisted down with transgenderism. The whole idea of homosexuality and transgenderism it's diluted the basic knowledge of what we consider homosexuality. It obscures it, and they did it on purpose. I'm sorry. I mean, I've got a friend that's a straight drag queen, straight as can be. I mean, some of his girlfriends were to drool over women, not men, women. But when he dress up and go do shows, oh my God. If you didn't know any better, and if he would have played that game, you would be in trouble. But he wasn't like that. I know some that are. They'll let you go on believing. Then make a joke out of it. I've seen a couple of them had to help them out of a few tight situations because they went a little too far with it. But now it's like, I mean, wow. I don't even want to think. We're not even going there, guys, because I don't even want to think about it. Because now it's, hell. It goes back to what we used to say in the 90s. AIDS and shit like that. Fuck, you need 3 forms of identification, please. Medical, driver's license, saying that you're 18 or older. Because let's keep it real. And people, there's various arguments about this, but young girls look like women because chemicals that have been taken in by the foods they've eaten. That's been pesticides have been used and stuff like that. So women seem to be more mature than they actually are. Because they're not actually women, they're still teens. To this day and age. Yeah, I need to see my D. I'm sorry. See, it's knowing the information or paying attention to your surroundings and understanding these things by questioning things. Why is this happening? And now we broke down a little bit of the transgenderism movement. It's all about stripping people of their identity. Which if you start stripping away the person's identity, you're stripping away their spirituality, their humanity. You're changing them from what they truly are. Labels can be done with the same way. It changes you from who you really are. In the trans community, labels are important because it changes their persona, their identity, who they are. Instead of who they are in real life, they can't distinguish between the cosplay, because that's what they're doing. It's cosplay, to use the proper term, or role play, which nowadays is one and the same, but you're right. It's two different words. Role play and cosplay. They're role playing and dressing up, therefore cosplaying to be something that they're not, then they're using the proper and appropriate label to define that identity that they've created. It's all psychological, it's all mental, it's all in the mind. They're tricking and deceiving themselves to a point now. When we start teaching the youth and the young kids that it's okay to be this way, to be that, there is no longer a protection mechanism within their mind to say, using this and identifying this can cause spiritual and psychological harm. And it is so much on the spiritual level. But to understand the spiritual level of it, you have to understand the occult aspect of it, where the occult dives into the psychological, the mental aspect of it. It dives in for what you do when you take on that persona or mantle, or when you take on the God form or Christ form. Many words and labels to describe what you are doing. But you're taking on that persona, you're becoming that. But what is taught is that it's a purpose, it's a tool. In most cases, it's to use a state of gnosis or trance. Gnosis is considered trance, deep meditation, to reach deeper into the subconscious. But when you don't have that information and that knowledge, and you just let people do it, they are actually literally changing their spirituality and psychology by manipulating and influencing their own subconscious. Yes, occult has a meaning. And most meanings are secret knowledge, forbidden knowledge, the unknown. When you start playing with the unknown without knowledge, you're going to get burnt badly. You're going to get used and abused. Been there, done that. Actually, truthfully, was very lucky. Although it all came at a price. Knowledge is important. Knowledge is the essence of life. The information we learn is important because it's how we free ourselves from this Operation Minecraft that's going on. And it's been going on for centuries. It's how we break free from the control mechanisms. That's how we stop people from trying to change our identities. And there's no real right answer of how you go about that. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. You have to find your own. Just like I had to find my own way. And eventually the doors will open. The right people will come in because they're drawn, or you're drawn to them. It goes back to frequency and vibration. We send out those vibrations and frequencies and not even subconsciously know it. A friend of mine reached out. I haven't talked to this person in a few months. She's like, "You okay?" I sensed that you were reaching out. I'm like, "Oh no, why?" I'm like, "I've been sick." She's like, "How sick?" And I told her. She's like, "Oh, maybe that's why." She's right. That is why. She wasn't the only one. There was a couple other people that I'm closely, linked with. They can sense that when something's wrong. I can sense it when some of my friends, something's wrong. We all have that ability. We just tune it out because we're taught, no, that's evil, taboo. But yet in the Bible it says people have gifts. And that's why I don't like talking about religion. I don't like the word religion. It's spiritual. My connection with my God. Not yours, not whatever you've been taught, my own personal connection. And actually, I view religion like I view politics. It's none of your damn business. If I decide to openly talk about it, that's a different story. I opened the door. Respecting boundaries. You know, we got to learn that today's the day. Now's the time. Not tomorrow, not 2 days from now, not a week from now. One, we're not promised of tomorrow. In fact, we're not promised 2 minutes from now. But right now is the time. Now's the time is to start talking about what I'm talking about. Talk about it amongst yourselves in your own way. Use your own words. But question the things. Question everything I've said today. Said in my last podcast. We'll say in the next couple. And actually, focus on the parts that might have triggered you. Why? Ask yourself why that triggered me. Why that bothered me. Why am I thinking about that? Simple task. I do it every time something triggers me or bothers me. Okay, why does that bother me? What's so important there that I need to focus on and look at? It's just simple things like that. Mind games. That's why I titled this Mind Game. Play mind games with yourself. And see. Go buy a journal. Write it down. Don't just write it down, forget about it for about a month or two, and go back and read it. What you tried, what you used, what words you used, or what you've seen as an imagery or image or a word that triggered you. Write it down. Then forget about it. Come back to it later in a month or two. Go reread that. Play the mind games with yourself. That, my friends, will start really opening things up for you. You'll start seeing more, questioning more, not even realize it because you took the first steps. You took the control from them and started taking control of it for yourself. And that's the first steps. You taking back control. I'm not going to take it back from you, because if I try or I influence you to, then I am taking away your free will. I'm meddling in your free will. In the end, it's you. You have choices. You make your choices. Although, understand and know now that most of your choices are so influenced and manipulated and controlled that you're not using your free will. You're not being free thinkers. You're being controlled to think a certain way. You're being controlled to go buy this product. You're being systematically targeted for such product. By the information you're freely sharing and don't realize you're sharing. Technology is a beautiful thing, but yet it is the most dangerous thing in the history of the to date. Because it's so readily at your fingertips or at a voice command. We live in a day and age where smart technology is so sought after that we allow people to spy on our own homes, listen to eavesdrop, and listen to the conversations we're having. It might not be a real person. It might be just an AI or a computer algorithm designed to pick up on what? Certain triggered words. That triggers, oh, wake up. They said this, okay. Next time they open their browser or go to Facebook or wherever social platform they go, this ad will mysteriously appear. Oh, I was talking about that. See, guys, there's plenty of videos. Go watch it. I know from firsthand. I mean, I've got YouTube's AI so screwed up. It don't know what I'm going to do next. Same with Facebook. Those are the mind games I like playing. Let's go play with the AI. I get bored of playing mind games with myself, so let's go play with something else. Something that's supposed to be so-called superior to me. No. Nothing superior than me or you. And nothing should have superiority over you unless you give it. Quit giving things freely to others that don't deserve it. And in a lot of your guys' cases, the only entity that should have superiority over you is your government, wherever that may be. And guess what? That's because you make that choice. You give that. Somebody you'd say, well, that's obedience. That's commanded. Either way, it's a choice you made. You've given that. And honestly, more power to you. And good. But with that said, don't ever let a fucking man, damn it. Well, I almost made it through a whole video. Or woman ever have that power. I don't care if it's a preacher or a religious leader. Goes back to what I stated. That's between you and your God. That's who you answer to, not the man or woman. As we've seen during COVID, our religious leaders shut their doors. They basically told you that everything I've ever said from this pulpit is a lie. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm not saying that's what they were telling you. But that's how you should look at it. They shut the doors. They told you to fear COVID over the fear of God. They told you that you can't come in this church or worship, give praise, pray as a united congregation for God's healing hand. That's how damaging spiritually that was. And it was our politicians that did it. It was the people that we put in power, let have power, let be our representatives, no matter what the matter is, spiritual or non, political, teachers, school boards, school systems, cops, judges, juries, don't matter. We give them power. The power that we can easily take back at any moment. Well, not at any moment, because they've changed how that works too. But I tell you what, to our congressmen and women out there, yep, we have that power come November. And every last one of them should be replaced. But unfortunately, we've got too many people in these echo chambers that we listen to. And these echo chambers happen to be one-sided because, because we follow a line of thought that, well, the other party's wrong, or that person that has the opposite thinking is wrong. Well, we should be hearing what they have to say. Don't have to agree with it, but we should hear it because it might make us question something. Maybe one of us has got something wrong and we don't even know it yet. But yet this person on the opposite side that we're told we shouldn't listen to, we can't listen to because they're blue or whatever label we want to use for them, is completely wrong. And that's where we're wrong. Like I said, it goes back to what I've stated. When it comes voting time this year, vote by actions, not words. Not what they say, vote by what they've done. Don't vote by their label, their party. Vote by action, their actions. What have they done as they've come up through the political hierarchy of things? Have they been for the people? Have they been the representative of the people? Have they stood up and upheld and protected the Constitution? If their actions show otherwise, don't vote for them. That's how you make changes at the voting polls. Of course, we can argue about that till we're blue in the face too, because we all know the truth. Do our votes really matter? Not really. Not with the way the electoral college process works, because I might have voted for Trump last year or last election cycle, but because other people in my county voted, there was more voted the other way. Our electoral vote for the state or for that county, it goes to the state, went to Biden. So therefore, technically our votes don't really count, because we ain't on the winning side. He gets the electoral votes of that state, so therefore your vote really didn't count. Let's talk about psychological warfare, a mind game of tricks. But we also witnessed something else, but it actually took a future generation kid. He was 18 at the time, I believe. 18 or 19 at the time. Might have been 20. No, he was 19. Pointed it out because he was from Michigan. He lived in Michigan. He's like, man, I went to bed in Michigan, and Trump was winning Michigan. He goes, I get up, then the major cities in Michigan turn the election to Biden. He's like, it makes no sense, because other than the three, everything else was red. How did three cities control the rule, which should be the majority of the vote? I knew this is a kid question. This is a teenager, young adult, who most of us wrote off. They don't get it, which I've known better. Because, I step outside my echo chamber. I step outside the box. When I was living in North Carolina, working up in Boone, I was around all the App State kids. And yeah, there was quite a few Bernie Sanders followers. There was a lot more Trump supporters. There was a lot more people that were questioning things. And these were the kids that we were calling snowflakes, which I find insulting and dumb, because snowflakes is actually an awesome, amazing thing, because no one snowflake is alike. They're all unique and different in its makeup. But yet, psychological warfare, you call somebody a snowflake, they get triggered. When in all actuality, when you call them a snowflake, you're actually complimenting them. You're giving them praise. They're unique individuals that are one of a kind, which is what a person's supposed to be, unique, one of a kind. There's no two people like you ever. But yet, we allowed psychological warfare and the twisting and playing of labels to use that as something that was meant to trigger and offend somebody. And they believed it, not knowing the study of snowflakes. How about a mind fuck? I give colorful language is just too damn hard for me to get out of my vocabulary. Although mindfuck is a word. It actually has meaning, because that's actually what we're dealing with. Mindfucks. Which is meant to trigger things on a psychological level. Also meant to, used in, try to stay away from very vibrant color terminology, but sensory deprivation. Which, when you're in an echo chamber, truthfully, you're in a sensory deprivation. Think about that one for a minute or two. You're putting yourself in a self-imposed sensory deprivation because you're not allowing outside things to enter. I love mind games. Obviously, I mean, I love labels. I love the topics of psychological warfare and spiritual warfare because it's sense they're one and the same because they're stripping you of your identity. They're stripping you of who you are. It's literally attacking you psychologically and spiritually all at the same time. I don't know, maybe that's a sadist of me. Obviously, I like playing mind games on myself, so gotta be a bit of a sadist to do that. Honestly, you gotta be a bit of a sadist to question things about yourself. Because especially when something triggers you and you realize, hey, I've been deceived and lied to for a very long time, when the truth finally sets in, it's quite numbing. Not in a good way. It's also humbling. But they don't want you to be humble. Because if you're humbled, that means you're not submissive. Because you're realizing, hey, I've been lied to. That ain't cool. But in this day and age, like I said, information is like 10,000 nuclear bombs going off at once in a span of seconds. Because that's what we're bombarded with every time we go onto a social media platform. Every time we open Facebook, Twitter. Every time we search the web for information. And the way it's gotten with the algorithms, the people that are trying to control things and manipulate and influence things, they put the misinformation at the top. They put their status quo at the top, and you got to go 3, 4, 5 pages, sometimes 20 pages deep to actually find the stuff you're looking for. They make it hard for you to find the information because they don't want you to go to status quo. If they had their way, they completely purge everything off. Now, at one point in time, Wikipedia was cool. Now Wikipedia is a joke. And I'm not going there because I've already went there. In fact, I know professors who tells their students not to use Wikipedia because it's not factual. Why? Because anybody that's allowed of it, and mind you, I got both my IP addresses now banned from Wikipedia because I can't leave well enough alone. But there's a group of people on there that basically control everything. If you ain't one of them, and they can come in and rewrite your stuff and change the information on your stuff. Or if you push the buck, and of course, Wikipedia is going to say, well, we have no control over that. That's the people on there that post and write and edit stuff. They have their own little hierarchy and they control all that. I'm like, there's videos. Actually, they're early videos where I broke it down and showed you the emails I received from Wikipedia. Then the emails I received from you guys out there about other things that were on there, further researching about stuff on pseudosciences and stuff. Oh yeah, Wikipedia is not a source. Not a source to take as fact. But it has its uses to where you can start using the links that they put. You're supposed to put links to stuff. And start branching off their stuff to find other stuff that actually will, I don't know, get it. Some people just aren't smart. That will actually refute what they've actually tried to link to and post to give credibility to what they said. But as you read it and go further down it, get into it, it actually rebuttals what they said. And you start springboarding off that and get deep in your research, and you eventually get to the truth. It's just more work. But it's another mind game you can play. When you feel comfortable and ready to go down that rabbit hole. Rabbit holes. Gotta love them. That's another label that's a thought crime in itself. Let's label this a rabbit hole. And then we'll use rabbit holes to get you to go down and get lost in the rabbit hole. Or they'll use it to mislead you and get you so distracted that you completely miss what's really going on. But it's fun from time to time to go play in the rabbit holes. As long as you're being aware to your surroundings and aware to other things, you'll know when you're getting misled or getting trapped in a maze that has no exit. But in many cases, the rabbit holes now are used to keep you distracted. And distraction is another psychological warfare, spiritual warfare tool. You know, the old saying, the illusionists, their favorite trick is that most people don't realize the best place to hide something's right there in plain sight, right in front of your face. You will not see it. You will overlook it. And we do. Sadly, we do. When you start bombarding people with so much information, you get what is known as information overload. They overload you with information to a point where you either get numb to it, or you get tired of it, or you get distracted and you end up in a rabbit hole and don't even realize you went down a rabbit hole because you just got too much information. In a sense, you got to pick through the information. And the best way to do that, listen to yourself. Let yourself guide you through the information. Listen to yourself. Feel where you're drawn to, not where you're being led to. Don't follow the carrot that's hanging above your head by a string, or the puppeteer that's pulling your string. Follow your own instincts, your own intuition. Don't follow the leader. So we have too many people in wolves walking around in wolfskins, pretending to be sheep. Or in sheepskins that are real wolves, you know what I mean. But, like I said, I want to keep these videos under 2 hours. Probably an hour and a half, which I've done failed. But we are getting close to that second hour mark, so I'm trying to think what the next video is going to be on. I suppose we probably should tackle the sigils, the symbols, the memes. I'm just going to work out how we're going to do that because, man, that's everything. That's really what we're really getting on the spiritual level of things. Because that's really attacking the subconscious, not the conscious. And the psychological impacts of that is mind-blowing, literally. See, most people don't even realize when you look at a meme what you're actually looking at. You don't realize the energy, the intent, the thoughts that was put in creating that meme to manifest their triggered desire. They're triggered to manifest an outcome. That's why MAGA was so powerful. And yes, MAGA was sigil magic, a form of magic. Abbreviation. We don't abbreviate anything. We're actually creating magic, guys. Hate to break it to you. Hate to be the bearer of bad news on that one. That's actually occult science 101 for beginners. For all you neophytes out there, you know what I'm talking about. You've been a victim of many of them. That's how you learned. Imagery, so powerful. Just as powerful as the power of our voice. Except for on a spiritual level, it is basically us praying in secret, in silence. Think about that. It is us making manifest our thoughts into action, into fruit, creation, without speaking or uttering a single word. For those that doubt the power of your voice, I refer you back to the book of Genesis. And God spoke. And creation begun. God spoke and he created the word. In Psalms, I can't remember the chapter and verse. In the book of Psalms, God refers to his children, us. We are all gods and goddesses, subjugated to the one true God. The term Christian means Christ-like. We are the creation in his very own image, and we have all the power and tools. Our voice is so powerful. When we commit our voice to written word, we commit to spell work, creation, magic. When we speak, we create. Our voice and how we intone it, make it come off, can raise somebody up, fill them with such courage, love, and any other powerful thing that you could put in there to build somebody up. We can do that with just our voice. This is what makes music so powerful. Because not only it incorporates all the frequency and vibrations of the musical instruments and the person's voice. And it reaches and touches everybody to their core, to their very soul. So does words. But words can also bring down and destroy. The great scholar that coined the term, the pen is mighty, the sword, was not lying. From with your own voice, within your own written words, you create such strong foundations that only crumble if you allow it. Understanding these things will help you understand why psychological warfare is so dangerous. Just not on the psychological level, but on the spiritual level. Those that know how to use these tools are dangerous people. because we don't know what their intent is unless they make known their intent. And that's goes back to what I said. Stating my intent, is that what my spiritual intent is? Actually, the unspoken intent? It's hard to know. We only know about the outcomes of things. When that becomes manifest and made into creation and into fruition, then we know. Then it's just a matter of perspective from there. Because in certain people's eyes, the information I've given you is wrong. It's evil. Should never have been spoken, never been told. So therefore, I'm evil. I'm a Satanist. I'm a whatever colorful label they want to use. And go eat a bag of dicks. Wait, some of you might actually enjoy that. Never mind. Because you have no control over it. You'll never have that. Because I won't let you. But you're more welcome to play the game. And try. I'm always up for a good lesson or two. I'm always good. Funny note. I've played chess. I like playing chess. I'm not going to say I'm the greatest at it, but I've played some amazing chess masters, grandmasters actually, that love playing with me. And it's not that I don't take the game serious, or don't take it, and I don't take it too serious. I just got bored with it. So I'll experiment the whole game. I'll show you a Russian Open and play a French Open at the same time. I'm unpredictable on the chessboard, and they love it because I make them think. I throw that chaos factor there that they don't see. And sometimes I win, very seldom, because it's not that I'm bored with the game, I'm just experimenting. I'm having fun seeing what you're going to do, how you're going to react to each move. You know, as one person found out one day, he kept nagging me. And he pissed me off. He said, fine, let's play. I'll play you 4 games. Or no, I'll play you 3 out of 5. Best 3 out of 5. He walked away from the table at the 3rd game and never asked me to play in about a year. It took him a year to ask me to play again. I'm like, I told you. He's like, you beat me every which way possible. On that last game, basically F you. You checkmated me with a pawn. I'm like, yeah. I told you I didn't want to play. I love chess. I love any game that makes you think. That's going to make you think outside the box, especially when you're playing somebody that you know is 10 times better than you. But, as the saying goes, on any given Sunday, on any given day, you can beat that person. And just like the old saying goes, hey, yep, you might be a big badass, but just right around that corner, somebody else is bigger and badder than you. Eventually, you're going to run into it. These are simple truths, actually. On any given day. Sometimes we got to make fun of things, not take things so seriously, and not let things overwhelm us. That's part of freeing ourselves from things. It's part of freeing ourselves from the psychological warfare and spiritual warfare. Committing to ourselves and ourselves only. Then committing to those who we allow in, not who we're told to allow in, which is everybody. At least 2 to 3 times a year, I'll go through and clean up my Facebook, my Twitter, remove a bunch of people. Because a lot of times, sometimes it's just curiosity, the reason I follow you back. And once I figure it out, I'll take a mental note, then months down the road, I'll go back and clean it up. Oh, yeah, I remember. Because I've already set a mental trigger to trigger me when I see that person's pic or something that's there. So triggers have growth opportunities too if we create them. Hence why I told you, create that journal. Write the stuff down you experience and do. Then put it away and forget about it. Then go back and read it. Because you're going to find things that are going to trigger you. So it's like, yes, that was right. I understand now. Play the games with yourself. Don't let others play you. With that said, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Stay healthy. Obviously, I've been struggling to do that. And like I said, hopefully next week. Maybe next week. No promises on next week because I don't know how much I got left in my check. If there's any left to pay the internet bill. If not, my rent's got to come first. And it's a short check, so hopefully it's just enough to cover what I got left from another short check to pay the rent. Which ain't going to leave me nothing aside to do anything else. Which means I'm probably not going to have no internet, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know next week, but the following week, everything will be back to normal, thankfully. And we will continue where we left off. Or continue on the next subject of psychological warfare. Which, yes, I guess, get into the imagery, the memes, the sigils. I was going to try to save that one for last, but it's impossible to save that one from last because that one's just so juicy and it might end up being 2 parts in itself. So like I said, I want to keep these 2 hours, and we're almost at 2 hour mark. So you guys enjoy. I'm out.